Hello and welcome to the next edition of the Full-Time Whittle podcast. Today I'm delighted to be joined by former Athletic midfielder Matty Palmer. Matty, first and foremost, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, no worries.
So to start the podcast, I think it will make sense to begin before you made the move to Wigan. What was your pre-season like at Swindon Town, and what was it like to experience the changes between obviously winning promotion to League One? Because that squad did change a lot throughout the window for various different reasons.
Obviously there was a lot of ins and outs at Swindon over the summer. It didn't probably affect me, maybe. It was more like it's affected everyone. Coronavirus made it a bit difficult pre-season. Obviously I found out quite early doors that for whatever reason I wasn't in the Swindon plans at the time. And even before that, I found about obviously Wigan's interest in me, and straight away I wanted to get it done. Obviously, it took a while, it took a lot longer than I was expecting or hoping, but obviously we got it done, and I was obviously very happy to go to Wigan.
What attracted you to join Wigan Athletic?
I think obviously over the years I've played him quite a bit. I've obviously played him for Burton in the Champ and League One, and obviously Rotherham as well. It's always been they're always been a good footballing team. They've always tried to pass the ball like the way that I think I try and play a little bit, which obviously suits my game. And Wigan obviously a big club. They played in the Premiership. They've won the FA Cup. It's a good club to have played for. They've obviously still got some very good players. So it was a bit of a no-brainer.
It sounds like it ticked all the right boxes. And how much of an influence was John Sheridan in your transfer? Obviously, you play with him at Oldham Athletic, and he's actually now back with you at your parent club, Swindon Town.
Yeah, obviously, like you said, I played with him under him at Oldham, which was a really enjoyable period of football that I played. I think it only lasted 3 months because I got recalled back to Burton, but yeah, it was a good time in my footballing career. So obviously it does help when your manager knows you as a player before you've even gone in. He knows what you can do. You know what they expect from you. So it made it more easier for me, but it didn't really make the decision any easier because I obviously wanted to come straight away no matter what. So yeah, it does help, but I think also there's lots of other good people there. That's what I really did notice when I was at Wigan. The staff are very good. They make it a very good atmosphere around the place. And obviously Liam Richardson's a very, very good coach, real good guy. And they made me feel really, really welcome when I went. And yeah, I can't speak highly enough of them.
It's really great that you said that, because I was going to ask, what did you expect when you joined Wigan Athletic, having watched the club's administration unfold from afar?
That's a bit of a difficult one as a player. You sort of just, my mind was set up that I wanted to go and play for Wigan. So even despite the administration, it was just, it's not in your head. That can't really be in your head because obviously you've just got to do the stuff on the pitch and sort of forget about what's going on behind the scenes. Obviously it was a difficult circumstances. There wasn't maybe necessarily, when I first went in, a lot of so-called senior players, and obviously the youngsters were like adapting to first team football and making the step up, which I think the first few weeks when I was there was more difficult. But then I think towards the end, you could tell that everyone had got used to each other. Everyone knew how we all played, and I think it was starting to come good.
Having been in some of those younger players' shoes at Burton Albion when you made your debut in 2012, what piece of advice did you give? I mean, it must be a bit surreal to be classed as an experienced player at just 25.
Yeah, it was a bit of a weird one for me. I've always been the non-senior player. But yeah, it's just not necessarily like loads of information for a youngster, because too much information is not always good. They can sort of get sidetracked from what their own game is. Just little things of like, if you pick up on, as a centre midfielder, if you pick up on another centre midfielder doing something, you think they could do something else, maybe just tell them during training or something, and just help them out as much as you can. Really, not necessarily giving them loads of advice, because they're obviously good players. They're at Wigan for a reason, so it's sort of just helping them as much as you sort of can.
When you first arrived at the club, what were your first impressions, and who did you become friendly with?
Straight away, I thought it was a good. You could tell it's a good club. You could tell it's been in the Championship, the way it's sort of run, and the staff, like I mentioned, and the senior players obviously have been in the Championship before. The way they acted and stuff like that, you could just tell it's come from a good place. I'd probably say I formed a good friendship with people like Curtis Till. Obviously, he came on loan roughly the same time as me, and then people like Will Keane, he's sat next to him in the changing room. He's a real nice lad. He's a good footballer as well, obviously, and we linked up quite well on the pitch, which obviously helps. But I think there's just a good atmosphere around the whole training ground. You couldn't really tell that with the issues that are going off the pit they weren't really coming through to the change room, sort of thing. So obviously that was a very, very good thing, and it was a nice place to go to work.
Did you immediately feel the team spirit amongst the squad?
Yeah, I think obviously, like I said earlier, it was maybe getting used to the amount of under 23 players, and compared to the first teamers, usually it's a few more first teamers, and then the 23 sort of, there's not as many. But I think especially after a few weeks, we all sort of just became one. There wasn't any divide or anything like, and that really helped. And I think can't speak highly enough of the young players. They all put in the hard work each day. They want to achieve good stuff in the game. So yeah, it was a real good change room.
During your first 4 months at your loan spell at Wigan, you played under John Sheridan, who we previously mentioned. He's at Swindon Town now. What did you make of John Sheridan's time in charge of the club?
Yeah, I think obviously, like I've spoken about, it was when I first went in. I can only obviously speak from them, but the results weren't necessarily going our way at the start. I think we were all getting used to each other's game, and I think obviously some players were still getting used to the manager's way of playing. So yeah, I think at the start it was a bit of there were difficult circumstances, but I think, like I said, it started to come good, and then obviously Liam Richardson took over full time, and I think towards the end you could definitely tell game in, game out that we were a good team, and we produced some good results towards the end of my loan.
How much belief does a figure like Liam Richardson, and obviously Gregor Rioch as well, install into the squad?
Yeah, I think obviously Liam's he's a very good coach. He gives you a lot of information for the opposition and what they're going to be doing. So you'd never go into a game not knowing who you're playing against, or not knowing the style of play of their team, sort of thing. So yeah, you get a lot of confidence from that. You know exactly what they're going to be doing, and he also gives you information of how we impose ourselves on their game, sort of thing. So yeah, I think he gives a lot of confidence to all the players, and I felt it as well.
How much of a pleasure was it to see some of the younger academy players come into their own and grow in confidence as obviously your loan spell went on?
Yeah, I think, like I said, towards the end, you could tell that their confidence was sky high, like it should have been, and it really helps. Obviously, we all helped each other, and yeah, they've done really well. Obviously, they've picked up some really good results recently, and obviously, I hope they can continue that.
Which younger players did you enjoy playing alongside, and who do you think has a lot of potential?
I think obviously as a centre midfielder, I'd have to say I played with Chris Murray, who is obviously a good player. He's decent on the ball, and he loves to tackle, and he gets around the pitch really well. So he was good to play with. Obviously, Carl Joseph has scored quite a few goals recently. He's a natural finisher. He works really hard, and I think, to be fair, all the young players, even the ones that maybe necessarily didn't play a lot of games whilst I was there, even in training, they're all They all put it in. They're all in the gym afterwards. They all want to succeed in the game. So yeah, I hope obviously all of them have good careers.
As a young player, how nice is it to see some of the lads so grounded as well? Because we've seen post-match interviews with the likes of Cal Joseph. We even saw that picture after the Burton game that when he scored a hat trick, he was actually knocking on the changing room of the kit man for Burton Albion, asking where the brush is to sweep up.
Yeah, obviously it's nice to see. I've obviously been in other changing rooms where younger lads maybe they've had one game and they're definitely not the way Kyle was. So yeah, it's nice to see, and I think it's only a good thing. They're not going to get ahead of themselves. They're going to try and keep producing good performances week in, week out. So it can only stand them in good stead.
During your time at Wigan, you made 10 appearances for the club, and you sadly suffered a couple of knocks, and I think you was cup tied on a few occasions too. How do you reflect on your time at Wigan?
Yeah, I was obviously disappointed not to play in like the FA Cup, which obviously I was cup tied for, like you said, and then I picked up a hamstring injury against away at Lincoln, which was disappointing. But it's just one of those things in football. You get injured, it's part and parcel of it. And yeah, I think, like I've said, maybe adapting to the situation at the start was more difficult. But then I think towards the middle half and towards the end, I think myself and the team started to put in some good performances in it, and it showed in results on the pitch.
Did you feel like the Wigan fans got an opportunity to see the best of you?
Probably maybe towards the end, but probably not fully, because obviously, like I spoke about, the situation made it quite difficult. I think playing without fans is very different. And also the fact when I went in, Wigan were in a position where they're down the bottom, towards the bottom of the table. It makes it more of a, it's always going to be a bit more of a sort of a scrap, rather than if you're top of the league or you're doing well in the league, you're more like, you get on the ball a lot more, you get a bit more respect from other teams. Whereas I think obviously people probably saw Wigan's situation from the outside and thought they could come and sort of spoil the party, sort of thing. So yeah, it was difficult, but I really enjoyed my time at Wigan. I loved every minute of it, and yeah, I wouldn't have changed anything.
In a way, do you wish that you could have stayed at Wigan for a bit longer?
Yeah, like I said before, I really enjoyed it. Obviously, as a footballer, your contract's up at certain times, so you sort of get told what to do. But yeah, I loved every minute at Wigan. I'd have happily stayed. And yeah, like I said, I really did enjoy it. Not just playing week in, week out in the games, but the whole sort of atmosphere around the training ground, like I spoke about. Just yeah, everything about it, I really did enjoy.
Although the fans never got the chance to see you play live because of the coronavirus pandemic, did you feel like you were still able to build a relationship with the supporters?
Yeah, I think obviously Wigan they're backed by big numbers, and obviously they can. There's still a way of watching the game, and a lot of them did watch the game. So yeah, I think as a team, it was important that we kept a good relationship with the fans, because it was obviously a difficult circumstances, and it still is. But it helps a lot more if the fans and the players are sort of all as one, sort of thing. So yeah, I think over the time I was there, that as a team we did well for them.
How much more difficult is it to kind of interact with supporters in a time like this? We've never seen a pandemic hit football, certainly in our lifetime. So it must have been quite a unique period to play without fans and not have that direct physical element where you can actually see supporters and have that interaction at a game.
Yeah, it is obviously very different. Even just to like walking out when you're starting the game, you walk out separately, usually not from the same tunnel, from different tunnels as the teams, and obviously running out to nobody. It is different. Something that I've probably got used to now, but I'd love for fans to be able to come back. It makes football. It's what football's about. putting obviously smiles on people's faces and winning games for fans. It's what all footballers want to do. So yeah, it's very different, but it's obviously the times we're living in. So we've sort of just got to get used to it for now.
In a way, with the younger players, do you think it possibly may have helped them without the fans being there to make them feel a bit more at ease? Because when you're playing a game in front of a crowd, they react to your every move, whether it's every missed pass, every misjudgment.
Yeah, I think obviously in certain games it was probably good that the fans weren't there when times were more difficult. Than towards the end, when we were playing well as a team, then it would have been good probably with fans in. We probably would have won games more comfortably. And like I think there was a Bristol Rovers game and it was 0-0. I think if fans are in, then we probably go on and win that game rather than draw 0-0. So yeah, it's one of them where sometimes it's probably good for the young lads that they weren't there, but also then there's nothing better than having fans right behind you and almost like willing the ball in the goal sort of thing. So yeah, it's one of them where it could be good and it could be bad.
Yeah, it's very much swings and roundabouts. And how helpful is social media in a time like this, in the case of engaging with the supporters?
Yeah, I think obviously, like it is even when supporters come back, it's how sort of life is now. Social media is a massive thing. I think it can only be positive if you've got a good relationship with fans off the pitch. There's nothing worse than having no footballer wants to have fans on their back. They're obviously only trying to do their best sort of thing. So yeah, it's important to have a good relationship, and social media is a platform to do that.
It could be such a really positive place. And in your final game of your loan spell at Wigan Athletic, you actually returned to the Pirelli Stadium to play against Burton Albion in a real relegation six-pointer. What a match to finish your Wigan career.
Yeah, obviously it was the first time I've been back to Burton as well in I think 3 years. So it was obviously nice to go and see some familiar faces, but also get the win against them. And like you said, obviously it was a big game, 6 points, 6-pointer sort of thing. So yeah, it was nice to be on the winning side and to end on a high.
Absolutely. And on Monday, the 4th of January, you return to Swindon Town following the expiration of your loan deal. What are your aims now returning to Swindon Town?
I think personally, I just want to keep playing week in, week out, like I did at Wigan sort of thing. So just keep working hard, keep trying to improve as a player, and yeah, keep playing week in, week out and doing as best as I can.
Do you think having John as your manager will put you in better stead when you return to Swindon?
I think obviously, like I said, spoke about previously, it makes it easier that you've worked with a manager before and he knows your game and you know his way of managing and sort of thing. So hopefully it does stand me in good stead, and I can play week in, week out for him and produce some good performances and keep playing week in, week out.
Do you believe that you can help the Robins avoid relegation to League Two?
Yeah, obviously now I'm back at Swindon. Yeah, that's my aim. I think as a professional, if you're like I was at Wigan a few weeks ago, my aim was to help to keep Wigan up, and now I've gone back to Swindon. It's to help to keep Swindon up. So yeah, obviously I'm going into each game trying to produce the best performance I can personally, and hopefully that helps the team get some positive results.
On the topic of that, do you feel we're going to have enough quality to avoid relegation this season on the field?
Yeah, I definitely think we're going to have enough quality to stay up. I think, like I said before, that towards the end, everything was starting to come together. Everyone was gelling with each other. I think you could see that with the performances and the results on the pitch. I think we were one of the form teams in the last month of my loan spell. So yeah, I think they've definitely got enough quality to stay up.
What was your reaction to Tuesday's news that the potential Spanish taker at Wigan had fallen through and collapsed?
Yeah, obviously I was disappointed to see it. I think obviously disappointed more so for the fans. Obviously they've been through a lot. It's been a long sort of takeover saga sort of thing. I think when I first signed, I spoke to Liam Richardson on the first day, and he was telling me that it was nearly done, sort of thing. And then 4 months later, it's still carrying on, and then it's obviously the news broke of its sort of collapse, whatever. And yeah, I'm disappointed, obviously, for the fans, because no one deserves that, do they? So hopefully they can get it sorted soon and get taken over.
For your time at Wigan, how did the players and yourself manage to keep the attention away off-field matters and focus things on the pitch? Because obviously it's a very stressful period for everyone involved.
I think obviously it's just, as a professional footballer, you've got to be that sort of mindset where it's just about what you do on the pitch. I think it probably helped having younger lads involved because they're sort of not been around the game for too long and they're just trying to impress as much as they sort of can, which I think helped sort of all of us sort of put in some good performances. And I think also the staff obviously didn't let us get sidetracked to anything that was happening off the pitch, and just made it all about on the pitch and training day in, day out as best as we could, and then producing a performance on a Saturday.
That's a great way to look at things. And what would be your parting message to the Wigan Athletic supporters and your former teammates?
I'd just like to thank them, obviously, for all the support and welcoming me to the football club. And I hope, obviously, that they can sort their off-field situation out as soon as possible. And obviously, this season, hope they stay up and push on to better things next season.
For a light-hearted question now to end the interview, thank you so much for your participation. I'll say that again. Thank you so much for your participation. It's been a long day. When Wigan Athletic travel to Swindon Town on the 2nd of February, who are you looking forward to play against the least?
Depends what position. If I'm playing, it depends what position I'm playing. I wouldn't like to be running back with Tom Pearce because he's a lot quicker than me. No, to be honest, if I'm playing for Swindon, then I'll be looking forward to it. You always want to play against your old teams, and it will obviously be nice to see all the lads and sort of whoever's the better team on the day deserves the victory.
Absolutely, and I think it'll be a good midfield battle. Likes of Chris Merry, Alex Perry, and yourself. Could be quite an interesting one.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, obviously, like I've said previously, they're both good players, so it'll be nice to play against them. They probably know my game as well as I know theirs, so yeah, it'll be interesting, and we'll see who comes out on top.
As a midfielder, I'm quite interested to get your opinion on this. Why do you think their partnership works so well when they play together? Because it seems like, although they have opposite games to each other, it seems to complement each other's styles of play.
I think obviously they know each other quite well off the pitch. So I think that obviously helps. And yeah, like you said, they're both quite different players, which probably suits both their games together, rather than just having two of the same. They're sort of one's more of a passer and one's more of a tackler sort of player. So that obviously they sort of contribute each other, which is a part of a good midfield partnership.
Absolutely, and I'd like to thank you for your time and your efforts at Wigan Athletic. It's much appreciated, and thanks for taking up the time to take part in this interview. I do really appreciate it.
No worries, thank you very much.
If you enjoyed this episode of the Full Time Whittle podcast with Matty Palmer, please like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's much appreciated. Thanks again for watching.